What exactly is this solution that you are proffering to get this country out of the current circumstances that we find ourselves? It's a global situation, except that we are worse.
Thank you very much, and my regards to Prof. and Honorable Kujetu and our viewers this morning, and thank you for this opportunity. Samson, I think I have quite a Herculean task this morning because professionally we have issues that probably I should speak with all the needed professional ethics, and also once I have my brother Kujetu making statements that also to me or which have impact or cut some sort of snare on my government's performance, definitely I can't go without doing the two. So just allow me, I beg, just respectfully. I think my work in summary was as a result of most of the issues that Prof raised. These are issues that for about 40 years, Prof quoted 1964, 1965, inflation rate from about 0.9, if I heard him correct, to about 26.4 or 26, just a year later, 26. And I also want to make this clear. I think publications from our media houses sometimes cannot entirely represent the meaning of what we say. We all know that. So let's be also careful that not all publications out of a statement, a work done, that can be taken in its entirety. So if there's any other thing, anybody can ask me, then we'll go ahead and discuss, because I know the country in which we are. But going straight to the issue, you realize that from most of the things Prof said, Ghana, we have problems that for about 40 years, in my opinion, we keep on lamenting and trying to ponder over, trying to find solutions, and they linger on, and a small push elsewhere on somebody's market or in somebody's market, it puts us in a very turbulent situation. And not until all of us are honestly get involved in making sure that this has been a ritual, cultural thing we don't need. They are dysfunctional, and as a result, as a country, we need to stop politicization in a way, at a point, which I think MPP and this, we can all be faulted or whatever, and find an everlasting solution to some of these. Some will not work out. And I think, one, my work came as a result of the fact that I realized that most governments on our market, many a time, or most of the times, borrow on our domestic market at a higher interest rate than even the private sector, which of course constitute the risky assets. Anybody can give whatever reason the person wants to give. If this is not the prevailing trails or issues or incidents we see in well-developed economies and efficient markets, ours seem to be anomalous, and we need to find solutions to it. Because I hear people are saying government is there, this one is happening. There could be genuine reason, but the fact is what is happening is affecting us. And practically, what we need to know is that without any technical explanation, if government securities or assets that are classified risk-free are being seen to give investors higher returns, definitely banks automatically will prefer investing in government securities. As I'm talking to you now, between 57 and 70% of bank investment, whatever, goes into the government sector. Government does not actually create value chains, expand them, add segments that can employ people. That will mean that private sector will always have big issues in getting adequate funds to expand and produce what we need, aggregate demand on our market. So we will be forced at all times, doesn't matter who is in government, we'll be forced to import from outside. And once we import from outside something, we are going to have the ritual or ritually weak currencies that we have all the time. And that is why I say that any attempt, no matter who is in charge or who has the power or whatever, who wants to speak, it doesn't matter how good you are, short-term approaches to solving currency issues in any country, especially, characteristically, we have import-driven economy that in your studio today, and where in my house and everywhere, about 90% of things we use, we import. So you can never ever say that these are not issues. Two, the private sector that actually create value chains cannot expand enough to employ people. So we are going to have virtually high rate of unemployment in our society. And these are the issues. And even to me, because the figures do not really fall within the principles of simple risk and return in investment, even valuation of banks that are integrated in our GDP computation can be challenged. So these are practical issues. I've spoken to almost all the banks guys in this country, the top ones, and they have accepted the fact that yes, what I'm saying is 100%. Of course, they have issues. The private sector has to position itself, and they are giving reasons why, which I understand. But if there are reasons or not, this is a serious issue we should go through. So it made me, as part of my work, try to simulate the existing models in the world. I mean, capital asset pricing model by a gentleman called Sharp in 1964. And then an improved version was done, that was 1976, by a gentleman called Ross. And then later on, the two that were done were the optimal ones, seemed to be probably most acceptable ones. Two gentlemen, Hanan and Lian, that was 1993. And then 2015, Diamond did. They all improved upon what happened. Then I identified that the last one that was done did not integrate the fact that after deduction of reserve component of bank funds available, part goes into market and part goes into risky investment areas where risk premium was needed. Based on that, I developed a new model. But something coming back to all the issues we are talking about, it's the fact that the things, especially my brother Okujoto is talking about, is very interesting. If we are talking about the fact that our minimum wage is probably too low comparatively, if we are not really getting staff to people that we are supposed to get and comparing that to other countries, we can't do that in isolation. In the first place, have we compared all relevant variables in terms of even the proper policies that are being rolled in our country, i.e. free school, i.e. LEAP, i.e. national health insurance policies, i.e. school feeding, and all those things?
So,
have we sat down?
So, Dr. Amoah, the solution you proffer, and I take note of the fact that I've looked at the videos and how the International Conference Center was packed, and the caliber of people that were there to listen to you and a couple of, experts from outside the country, and the debate it generated among the Guta, Professor Stephen Adair, and the rest of them. The main point is that because the country is import-driven, we will continue to be in this problem. Number two, that the banks, for example, are making supernormal profits from the state, and which is an anomaly that must be cured. So how do we get out of this stranglehold? How do we get out of it?
I think anything that I'm proposing now, just as I've had a proposed formula of model, it's not something I've worked on and I can say 100%. But of course, I'm making recommendations. And I think how we can solve some of these problems cannot just sit there and say within a twinkle of an eye or 1 week or 1 day solve it. Just as most of the problems we are lamenting today, we cannot look at them today and say, hey, especially when we're going through. I think we need to work on how we manage our fiscal space, because governments are also forced to go for loans simply because we are operating a completely negative effective tax rate system. I mean, monies outlaid from government to households against income or revenue of the government, excluding debt. It's negative all the time. Let's be very practical with these facts. Let's not deceive ourselves. Because I always say the Samson, I'm not holy, but there is God in whatever we do. Let's be very honest and take away, if we want to do politics, we can do proper comparative analysis. And I will tell you that then my government is even doing well. Because look, US today, since 1981, which is 41 years now, they are having the highest inflation rate, 18.4. Some parts in US, you are not even getting baby food. Some parts you don't get fertilizer. These are facts. I'm not saying because of the Ghana we should be happy. There's hardship in Ghana, we appreciate. But what I'm saying is that these problems needs holistic approach involving all stakeholders. And before we need to be realistic with how we manage even our fiscal space in terms of revenue we are generating, in terms of our outlays, and even discretionary spending arm of policy arm of the government too. Governments should work towards Ghana getting to single-digit interest rate by making sure that this anomaly is resolved. Because if risk-free assets, or even if governments, in our jurisdiction, we don't want to classify that which is against the global principle, which we cannot. It's borrowing now as I'm talking to you now, T-bill rate is ranging between 20 and 24%. The bank's rate between 9 and 11. I mean the industry average. Check the difference. Who will give his money to the private sector? So we need to take the bull by its horn, try to review our regulatory framework and policy framework, and also go through the market forces that determine some of these rates. There could be cartel, there could be probably, how do I put this word, like condoning system or something that probably we might not have known. But whatever it is something we need to solve.
My very final question to you, Steve, will be...
Then you end me or I have the chance to talk.
We have to end the show at a point. So my final question to you is, you are in government.
Like 1 minute or 2 minutes.
You are in government. You are on the finance committee. We know that you participate in discussions about, the economic management of the country somewhat. Fiscal space management is a government responsibility.
Sure.
So, who are you preaching to now?
If you ask this question, you are right. But it sounds like I'm doing a blame game. I'm not blaming anyone. This is a national issue. The problem we are having today, any honest person will tell you, is not today's issue. It's been with us years. So I'm preaching to every stakeholder who has what it takes to come on board and let us all make sure that, such as what I'm doing today to help, whether it's good or bad, everybody knows what I'm trying to do. Professor talking, Samuel Kujeto talking, you yourself, my brother from Imani, coming to talk, Santa, we get it wrong and right, we are all helping. Yes, if you tell me at present, it's on the government. And I don't think the government is sleeping. The fact is, if you have 40-year-old problems, if we sit there and our population size has grown from Nkrumah's time from about 5 million to about 31 million, if you have a situation where just close to 7% directly, the formal sector pay taxes, and we're having negative effective tax rate, and these problems have been compounded for years. The government alone, of course, there are basic issues we need to check. One, our discretionary spending arm as a government. We should be able to now go there, even though the government said, oh, we cut down by 20%. Yes, well accepted, appreciated, but we can do more.
Okay.
We can do more by selecting the expenditure items, find out which of them have very weak correlation with our GDP and throw them away and cut them. Look, let me give you this practical example.
Sorry, Dr. Stephen Amoah. Okay, please finish up in a minute.
But something I have problems. I'm being professional and there's also politics. So what do I do? Because my brother did politics. Anyway, because you want me to finish.
You have been speaking for over 13 minutes now. Do 1 minute and let's take a break.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I want to say to my brother Okujeto and those listening to us is that if we continue doing politics, then all the things, look at petroleum taxes. Let's find out whose regime we put most of them on. Well, most of them, if we want to really talk about that. So I am saying that let us shift our focus from politics, all right, and try to find solutions as you're asking. But the fact of the matter is that today's problem, of course, we all know, just before the COVID, I'm not saying we're not having issues, where the situations like this. Let's find out. They were not like this. But most of the problems you're having today, in my opinion, are almost century-old problems that we need to sit down and redefine our corporate focus before we can find a very lasting solution to it.
Thank you so very much.